Hi guys, welcome to the latest Reload Media webinar. We're just going to wait for everybody to come in. There's about 10 people that have arrived, so hi to everybody that's arrived to the webinar. And while we're waiting, I'd like to introduce Paul Goldston. Hi Paul.
Hey Lou, how everyone? How you going?
How's your day going?
No, good. Excited for this for the webinar today, and yeah, marketing automation is one of my real passion topics, so I'm excited to share a little bit of the information that I've picked up along the way.
Excellent. I'm sure it's going to be a great webinar and a great event, and I'm excited to hear what you've got to say. So we've got close to 15 there attendees now, but we're going to dive in. We'll just give everybody another couple of seconds to jump on. I hope everybody's got their questions ready. If you have a look over the right-hand side, you'll see the chat panel of your Webinar Jam software. You can type your message in there. I'll just quickly type you a quick welcome to show you how it works. And you see my message there. Just look throughout the event, type in any messages. I'll collate them, and we'll ask some questions, Paul. So yeah, looking forward to it. I think we get cracking. What do you reckon? So yeah, for those that don't know me, I'm Lou Jury. I'm the founder and managing director of Reload Media. And with me is Paul Goldston, the digital creative director of Reload Media, and has been with us, what, nearly 7 years?
7.5, yeah.
Wow. It's getting up there, isn't it? It's,
but who's counting?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, we're here today. We're not going to talk about ourselves. We're going to talk about this exciting area of marketing automation, and let's get cracking. So I'll click over here, Paul, and I'll get this over to you. If you want to just quickly go to the first slide to make sure that works. There we go, and all yours, mate.
Awesome, thanks Lou, and thanks everyone for coming along today. Look, as I mentioned, marketing automation is a really cool topic. It's one that I follow very closely, and I'm really excited to share some of the things I've learned with you guys. There's 4 main things I want to go over today with you. The first one is just a bit of a definition as to what marketing automation actually is, so everyone can be on the same page. The next step is we're going to look at some different types of automation. So at Reload, we've categorized marketing automation into 4 different categories, and I want to take you through some of those categories. We're going to have some examples of those too. The third one, and this is probably the most important area of the presentation that I hope some of you can take away, which is the typical customer lifecycle versus the ideal customer lifecycle. So the typical lifecycle versus what it would look like if you started using marketing automation. Now, we've used a lot of platforms here at Reload. So we use things like Infusionsoft and Marketo and HubSpot and those kind of platforms as well. And with some of those platforms like Infusionsoft, we've had a lot of training with those platforms too. So I'm going to share with you some of the training we've learned through Infusionsoft, and this is that third point.
And just before we go on, sorry to interrupt, Paul. I've just got a note there from Lloyd. Hi, Lloyd. How are you going? You're just mentioning you get a few audio problems. We've done about half a dozen of these webinars now, and often the audio is due to a lag in the end user's internet connection. So what happens though, and thanks Jonathan for giving the feedback there. Often what happens is the replay video will be of good quality. So the replay video should be better quality. So you can always, Lloyd, go back and have a look at areas you might have missed if the lag's there. So we'll plow on, and thanks for your feedback so far.
Cool, thanks guys. Yes, so typical life cycle versus the ideal life cycle. It's a really important part of the presentation, and I really think you're gonna get some great takeaways from there. Okay, cool. And the next one is actually building a lead nurture strategy together. So we're going to do a bit of a demonstration of how you can go away and actually build a lead nurture strategy for yourself. From there, we're actually going to send you an Excel spreadsheet to give you the tool to actually do that yourself as well after the presentation. Okay, cool. So without any further ado, let's get started. What is marketing automation? So there are a lot of different definitions of marketing automation out there on the internet. So I've just gone to the trusty old Wikipedia to pull the most commonly agreed upon definition. Now, it's a big, long paragraph. I'm not going to read it out to you, but there's a couple of key elements that are important to take away. The first is that it is a software platform or technology, and it helps you market on multiple channels and automate repetitive tasks. And the reason I put that in here is some people think that marketing automation is something that you buy off the shelf and you flick a switch and it does your marketing for you, but that's not necessarily the case. Marketing automation is, they're tools that allow you to get rid of some of the mundane and repetitive tasks and do them to a very high level with your current customers and marketing needs. So obviously, I mentioned already, there are a couple of platforms, some of you might know, some of you might not, that exist out there on the market. You've got your Infusionsoft's, your HubSpot's, Act On, which Reload are a partner of as well, Marketo, Salesforce, and SignUp2. These are some of the platforms that you can use to do all your lead nurturing strategies and whatnot. And then we've got other marketing automation platforms that aren't necessarily about lead nurturing, where you've got things like If This Then That and Zapier and Klaviyo, and these are more kind of helping you with your actual marketing automation and efficiencies within your business. Now, the reason I've mentioned these now is this session is platform agnostic. We're not focusing on any one of these platforms at all. What we want to empower you with is the ability to come up with the strategy to implement into these platforms and the tactics that you can implement into these platforms. Because basically a lot of these platforms, they do the same things. It's just about having that core strategy that you can get started with. And every single one of these platforms I've spoken to, their biggest problem with clients is that clients will sign up and then leave it there and pay their monthly recurring fees, but they won't know how to start and get started, and then they'll leave the platform within 6 months because they never used it. So what we want to do today is to give you that knowledge before you start using a platform like this, if you're interested, so you can get started from the get-go. Cool, so that's basically what marketing automation is. Now we're going to go into some of Reload's 4 categories of marketing automation. So if we look at the 4 categories, the first one is called transactional marketing automation. So this is essentially the marketing automation that you do, which is that ongoing one-to-one relationship with your customers and clients on an ongoing basis. These ongoing touch points that you can automate so you don't have to be sending manual emails and touch points. So these are things like order confirmations and email receipts when someone buys something on your website. These are things like when someone inquires on your website, having a thank you, we've received your inquiry, we will get in touch kind of email. Back in stock reminders, unlocked content. So when someone downloads an ebook, that the email that sends the ebook to them is marketing automation. Abandoned cart emails. Anyone who owns an e-commerce store knows that a lot of people go and put shopping in their cart and then leave before they actually finish the transaction, and probably a lot of you have done that as well. So sending an email to say, hey, do you want to come back and finish that order? Payment reminders, shipping confirmations, order tracking emails, return exchange progress, etc., etc. And account verifications and alerts and notifications. These are all types of transactional marketing automation. It's not necessarily the automation that you read about in all the blogs and whatnot, but it's really, really important because it creates a lot of those really important touch points to show your customers where they are and how your service is progressing. So I've got a couple of examples of these. The first one is from Walmart. So this is an example of an email that someone's received when they purchased online, and it's giving them a notification that they've selected that they want to pick it up in store. And it's also telling them that there's going to be another automation piece that they're going to get a text message when the order is ready to be picked up. Another one, this is a back in stock reminder, a really great tactic for any e-commerce websites when you have run out of stock, instead of saying, sorry, you can't buy this, letting people get a notification when that product does come back in stock. And again, this can be automated. This is one from Basecamp. This is an online platform. So this is one where they've got a free trial for their software, and automatically when that trial is about to finish, an email goes out to say, hey, do you want to actually sign up now? So instead of the marketing manager sending those emails manually, this is done automatically through transactional automation. This is one, most of you would have got something like this in the past, an email letting you know that your order is in transit. Again, another example of transactional marketing automation. And I wanted to bring this one up just because this is one that I got the other day. I went to Holy Moly, which is the new mini putt-putt establishment in the Valley. And they've got a really, really great brand tone. And I wanted to include this because it's an example of how they were able to carry their brand tone from their website experience through to the order confirmation and email receipt stage as well. And that brand tone also carried through to our actual experience at the putt-putt place as well. So again, it's not just a way to send receipts, it's a way to carry on and control your touch points with your customers without having to do it manually. Okay, so that's transactional marketing automation. That's about as much as we're going to talk about that type of automation today. But if anyone is interested in learning a bit more about some of these, feel free to get into contact with us. We can talk all day about those. Okay, so the next one is efficiencies. And this is less customer facing, and it's more about the types of automation you can do to help you with your day-to-day work. Okay, so the first one is social media posting. So for example, at Reload, whenever we do a new blog post, that blog post will automatically get posted to Google+. Now, this is a background tactic that we use because it helps that blog get indexed quicker with Google. But there's a little automation thing that we set up to help with the efficiency of not having to do that manually. But of course, there's all sorts of platforms out there that allow you to schedule social media posts as well, which again is marketing automation. Brand mention alerts. If you don't already have a Google alert set up for your brand, I strongly recommend it. They're completely free, and you can get them sent to your inbox as they happen, or daily or monthly. But brand mention alerts allows you to have that automatically come to you rather than having to go and scour the web for how people are actually talking about your brand. Cross-app integration. So this is one that, again, we use quite heavily at Reload in terms of getting two different web applications to actually talk to each other. So for example, just say you have a client database in a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet. You can get that Google spreadsheet to talk to, say, your email provider like Campaign Monitor or MailChimp, and make sure that MailChimp is checking every time that Google spreadsheet gets updated to update your customer database. So that's one example of cross-app integration. There's literally millions of examples that you can try. I strongly, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check out Zapier, Z-A-P-I-E-R, or If This Then That, I-F-T-T-T. I'll put them up on the screen soon. But they're fantastic for coming up with ways to get your different web applications to talk to each other. And advertising, messaging, and bidding and scheduling. So obviously, as an agency, we use automation within our advertising to create efficiencies as much as possible. So a couple of examples would be, just say you're a pizza company and you know that people buy more pizzas when it's raining. You could change your ad to have a rainy day offer when it's actually raining in a certain geographic location by hooking into a weather API. Or you could increase your bids on your advertising, on your pay-per-click marketing when it's raining and these kind of things. So that kind of automation helps with the efficiencies of not having to jump onto AdWords at 7 o'clock at night once it starts raining and having that happen automatically. Archiving is another efficiency you can use with this kind of marketing automation. So say, for example, every time you post something to Instagram, you might want to save that to a Dropbox and archive all of your posts in history. Again, you can use the Zapier and If This Then That for those kind of things. And automatic website updates. So just say you're a fashion brand and your customers are tweeting or Instagramming a lot of it, about your brand and wearing your brand and those kind of things. You generated content and automatically update your website with that kind of content through marketing automation. So as I said, there's thousands more types of efficiencies you can come up with. From an automation perspective, I actually have my lights at home to turn maroon 5 minutes before any Broncos game. So that's something you can do. But you can have a lot of fun with it. So I do recommend checking out Zapier and This and That if you're interested in that kind of creating efficiencies within your department. Okay, so those two are other types of automation, but really I think what a lot of people here today are to learn about is this kind of lead nurturing side of thing. I've got a couple of examples of the automation that we just spoke about. This is Zapier, and that was ad creative changing. But what everyone's really here, I think, to learn about is that lead nurturing side of things. So yeah, absolutely, marketing automation is pretty much known for lead nurturing. That's one of the big things that they do. Also lead scoring can be done within this nurture cycle, and also what a lot of people don't realize is that you can, within the nurture type of automation, you can do sales notifications and allocations as well, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. So for example, looking at basically, this is a bit of a lead score matrix. It will be different for every different business. But what this does is you can integrate these rules into your chosen marketing automation platform and give certain leads different scores when they're behaving with your brand at different stages. So for example, you've got the high score category, which is sending an inquiry through a free trial landing page or the request pricing landing page. They might get 15 or 14 points. Then you've got kind of lower scores for things like visiting certain pages or watching certain videos. Then you've got, again, lower points for doing less meaningful interactions with your website. And then you've got points that actually get deducted if they show that they're not actually the right kind of lead to speak to. And what I mean by notifications and allocations is that you can set these kind of things up within your platform so that when certain behaviors happen over time, just say you hit a certain lead score goal of say 20 or 25, you might automatically allocate that lead to a salesperson to get in touch. And even more, I guess, a little bit scary is some of the platforms allow you to actually get in touch the moment that person is back on your website. So, you can imagine that phone call of saying, hey, I just thought I'd get in touch with you. And they say, oh my God, I was just on your website just now. That's the kind of, you can get them right when they're in that right frame of mind to talk to you as well. So that's where lead scoring can be really, really powerful. And the last category, by the way, we're going to talk about lead nurturing a lot more after this. So I just want to mention this last category, which is WOW. And this is what marketing automation you're doing with your current customers beyond transactional automation. So, when they actually become a customer, what are you doing? How are you engaging with them? And how can you create efficiency around that engagement so you don't actually have to be doing it manually? So these are things like, welcome email series, ongoing client education, proactive touch points, net promoter score, and review generation. So, you might notice that a client is really happy with you, or a customer is really happy with the service so far. So maybe you can send an automatic email to get them to leave a Google My Business review or something like this, or a net promoter score update. And also getting them to send other customers to you as well, automatically. And the one I love the most is that surprise and delight. So, things like anniversary emails when they've been with you for a year, or, Christmas or Easter, or these kind of things, birthday emails, those kind of things go down really well. And again, can be automated. Okay, so they're the 4 types of marketing automation. Actually, I just want to talk, this is a good example of a WOW email as well. So this is from a company called ModCloth. So they're a US fashion brand. And this is a welcome email that they do. Now, as you can see, this email is different to the type of email that you send when you get an order receipt. This is an actual genuine kind of one-to-one relationship where someone's saying, hey, look, I'm so glad that you've made your first order with our brand. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. I'm your personal consultant, those kind of things. And of course, this is an automated email that goes out for any new customers. That's a great kind of personal customer intimacy moment that you can create. But what's really cool is you can set these up to do all sorts of things. So they might get the welcome email, and then maybe a month later, they might get a content piece of current fashion trends in the US, and they might get another content piece a couple of weeks later of customers wearing modcloth clothes, and they might get another content piece. And then once you've built up a lot of value with content that those customers are consuming, you can hit them with a promo. That's that kind of jab, 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 right hook methodology of marketing, which is give them value on a 3-to-1 ratio. And then you have a chance to put an offer in there. And that's where you can actually make a lot more money doing it that way than just doing offer. So that's a good example of a wow strategy. Cool. So that is the different types of automation. And as I mentioned at the start of the webinar, this is the really important part that we need to talk about today, which is that typical customer lifecycle versus the ideal customer lifecycle. Okay. So what we have here up on the screen is essentially what the typical customer lifecycle looks for most businesses that don't have an automation strategy in place. So you can see here, we kind of got 3 stages. It's very generalized, but this is generally the way it works. So you've got the first stage, which is engaging your audience and getting in touch with them, marketing, all the things that you're doing to get them to come to your business and engage with your business in some way, shape, or form. After they come to your business, they generally go into a sales process. So they go into a process where you might have a sales team that have a long-term kind of cycle where they're turning those customers into leads into customers, I should say, or it might be the online sales process that you have for your e-commerce store. But there's some process in place to turn that traffic into customers. And then stage 3 is they become a customer. So what we need to look at is where the wastage is in these 3 stages and then how we can mitigate that wastage. So in stage number 1, in that engagement stage, there's a fact that 50% of people who visit your website aren't ready to make a decision the first time they visit. So, and the thing with most businesses out there is they don't really have anything in place to cater for those people who aren't yet ready to make a decision. So this is why, everyone knows that content is becoming so important on the web these days, and people are looking, they're hungry for content. But a lot of businesses aren't providing that content. It's really their website acts as you're here for a sale or kind of go away. So that's, that kind of 50% of traffic is kind of scary that it's getting missed out on. So if we look at a normal customer sales cycle, let's just do a quick demonstration of what it would look like. So just say you spend $1,000 on your marketing or 10 hours on that marketing. That might get you 100 leads, and your sales team are able to convert at, say, 10%. So then you get 10 customers from that. Now, that's all well and good, but a lot of people are going, okay, well, what if I want 20 customers? Okay, so the normal approach to this is to go back and essentially go, well, we need to increase our spend and get more traffic to the website. So more of that 50% gets increased. Or we need to increase our sales team and spend more money on salespeople to convert more leads. So it's all about doubling everything. But again, what we're talking about are ways to mitigate some of this wastage and look at a different way to do that. So as I mentioned, that 50% of lost traffic can be mitigated by providing content that is more beneficial to that audience group. The second area we need to look at is the actual sales process itself. Now, if some of you have sales teams out there, you might know this scenario very well, which is essentially you have your hot leads that come through. These are the leads that are slam dunks, easy to convert. They come through, they already know about your business and your brand, and they just need to get started. But what often happens is if they're not at that stage, they often get called bad leads. But the question is, are they actually bad leads, or are they just not ready yet to make a decision? And sure, there's going to be some of them that are bad leads. You're going to have some spam and some other things in there that's fair enough. But the question is, how many of those bad leads could actually become customers if you just nurtured them a little bit more? So if we look at the sales process, we can see there's actually it takes 7 different touch points for a lead to on average to become a customer. 7 different touch points on average. But the trouble and the issue that a lot of businesses face is that they only really do between 2 to 3 touch points on average when they're doing it manually. And that's really just not enough for a lot of these leads who aren't ready yet. So the question is, how can we increase those touch points without having to increase manpower, which is again where marketing automation can help. So we've got this kind of lost leads wastage that we're looking at as well. So we've got that 50% of lost traffic, and we've got the lost leads as well. But then we go to when they actually become a customer as well. So the number one reason why people leave organizations and stop becoming paying customers, you would think it would be something like a massive failure in customer service or a problem with a faulty product or something like this. But it's not. It's actually 68% of people leave a business because of indifference. So what does that mean? It means you ask them and they say, I don't know, I just, didn't really feel it. Just wanted to put my money somewhere else. And that's a real travesty, because there's so much you can be doing with marketing automation to create ongoing intimacy and value for your customers beyond just signing them up. So that third area is lost customers. So lost traffic, lost leads, and lost customers. So that's the typical customer life cycle. That's what the majority of businesses are kind of dealing with at this point in time in this really kind of crowded market. So what we want to look at is the ideal customer life cycle and how we can mitigate some of that wastage. So of course, we've got the same kind of engagement mechanisms. So your marketing, you've got over the left, you've got paid advertising, website, direct mail, video, TV, all your kind of marketing that's happening. But what we want to focus on is that 50% of leads who might not be ready yet to actually make contact. And the way we do that is with what we call a lead magnet. So a lead magnet is something that you create that offers genuine value to your customers. And that could be anything from an ultimate guide to office branding. It might be, depending on your business, whatever provides genuine value to your target market. It could be a cost calculator, it could be anything. But it has to be valuable enough for your target market to give you a little bit of information in return. That's all we're asking for at this point. We just want to be able to talk to them in the future. So they're not ready to become a customer yet, but they might be ready to give you a little bit of information in exchange for helping them with their research. So that's lead magnets. That's how we can get a little bit extra of that 50% to actually stay in the conversation with us. The next area is to come up with an automatic follow-up system for leads that aren't ready yet. So as you saw before, there's 7 touch points that we need to have to try and get someone on board. And that can change from business to business, but on average, it's about 7. So what we might do when they download the content piece is we might send an email to say, thank you very much for downloading the content piece. By the way, here's a blog article that we found really helpful as well if you want a bit more information. And then a couple of weeks later, we might just send another email that says, hey, by the way, we know that you're interested in this kind of stuff. Have you heard about this news in the industry, blah, blah, blah. And again, another valuable piece of information. Then you know what? A couple of weeks later, we might call them. We might say, hey, is there anything we can actually help with? Give them a call. Or let them know that we've got a webinar or something coming up. And then we might do another email piece, maybe we send a text message about an event that's coming up that we're hosting, and they can have some free tickets. Another email. And these don't need to happen within like 4 weeks. This can happen over a year. But it's all about just creating those ongoing touch points. Now, that will help. That will get some of those customers across the line and ready to make a decision. But there will still be people within that group who are not ready to make a decision. So instead of losing them at that point, what we do then is we put them into what we call a long-term lead nurture cycle. So they just get the basic touch points. Maybe it's the monthly newsletter or the annual report or something like that, just so we don't lose touch with them. So put those people into that nurture, and maybe 2 years from now, they're ready to make a decision, but not straight away. But importantly, some of them will become customers. So what do we do then? Well, as we just mentioned before, it's really important to have a new customer wow plan as well. So maybe when they sign up, we send a direct mail gift to them to say thank you for becoming a new customer and surprise and delight them. And then maybe we have some other email, maybe an education series or some more email follow-ups that we can help with them that continually provide value and intimacy with those customers. So you can kind of see the difference between the typical life cycle and the ideal life cycle, where you're mitigating that traffic loss, you're mitigating those lead loss, and you're mitigating those customer losses using marketing automation. So the 3 key takeouts from this section of the webinar would be: 1, have a system for attracting leads who aren't yet ready to make a decision. So these people could be a customer in the future, but aren't ready yet. And these are things like content and lead magnets and tools that help them make a decision. Have a system for selling. So again, for these people, you can't just call them straight away and see if they'll convert. Some of them will, but a lot of them might be a bit peeved by getting to that stage too quickly. So have a lead nurturing platform and strategy set up. And number 3, don't forget about your customers once they become a customer. So you need to be continually wowing and creating that intimacy, and you can automate that through marketing automation as well. Okay, so that is the typical versus the ideal customer lifecycle. Now, we talked about having a system for selling and doing a lead nurturing strategy. We're going to walk through one on Excel. So Lou's going to come over and set that up for me now. Alrighty, it's technical wizardry.
Let's have a look how we go here. I think I just pop that down there and hit that. How's that? There we go. Excellent. And you can just go to the 100% there thing, mate, and click on that.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thanks, Brendan, for the Go Broncos. And Stuart, I hope the audio's got a little better since you last gave that feedback. There will be a good replay video at the end that we'll send you in about an hour. So that should all be cleared up in there. So thanks, Stuart. Paulie, back to you, mate.
Thanks, Lou. All right, we might just zoom in a little bit. I just want to see, just in the chat channel, if everyone can see that or if they want me to just zoom in a little bit more. I might just do it anyway.
Okay. You can scroll up and down.
Yeah, scroll
across it. Yeah.
Okay. Just scrolling down here. Okay, so let's start here. Sounds like it's all good. So what we're going to do, and again, everyone's going to get a copy of the spreadsheet after the webinar, so you can have a go at doing this yourself. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a lead nurture strategy for a termite company. And the reason we're going to do it for a termite company is because I recently got termite protection, and I was definitely in this cycle, and I was the target market. So it's going to help just to get this done a little bit quicker. So so we start with the target market over here. So the target market is new home buyers, aged, let's say 28 to 35, and you can take a guess as to where I fall within there. And let's say in Brisbane, and let's also got a negative building and pest result. So we didn't have termites, but we got told that our termite protection wasn't good enough for the new home. So yeah, we could go further into that target market, but that's enough for what we need today. Then we go into objections. So this is what were our objections? What's stopping us from actually getting a termite barrier? So the first one was obviously costs, just buying a new home, and it's an additional cost. Will it actually protect me? Or is this a rort? Not sure. Quality providers. There was a lot of kind of cheap-looking providers out there. Yeah, we can leave it at that. But these two questions, I love these questions. I use these beyond marketing automation. I use these for any kind of marketing I'm doing to look for unique selling propositions. So these are things. The two questions are: what will this company help me achieve, and what will this company help me avoid? So it helps me achieve peace of mind, right? You just spent all this money on a house, and you don't want to get a year in and realize that you have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars fixing termite issues. Helps me achieve protection. for 8 years, and a quality job. They can hopefully this company can provide a quality job. What do they help us avoid? I guess fear, sleepless nights. There's the help. They helped us avoid like a dodgy provider, and risk. Helps us avoid the risk. So again, you can do these really quickly. What I want to show you is how quickly you can do these kind of strategies. You can kind of whip these up really, really quickly for all different types of target markets. Okay, cool. So we're going to go up. Again, I can see that it's a little bit blurry still, and someone wants to zoom in. Sorry, so I'm just going to do that a little bit further. Again, as Lou said, there's going to be a, we'll send the video through after, which will be very clear as well. Okay, cool. So what we've got along here is we have our, how we build our marketing automation strategy. So we have the green part, which is not actually marketing automation. This is how you generate those leads. And then the marketing automation part comes next. So we're going to say, just in the marketing automation part, we need to have an offer and we need to know what we're selling. So we're selling a termite barrier. These are those chemical barriers that you put around your house, or it could be natural barriers that you put around your house to sell, to protect your house. And the offer, let's say it's first year checkup is free. So, when you get a termite barrier, every year the pest control comes back and they check. So they're gonna chuck in the first annual check for free because they do 8 years of them. So it's worthwhile for them to do that. Okay, so those are the offer and the sale. So first we're going to know what we're doing to attract customers. So we're going to keep this pretty simple. We're going to do Google AdWords and we're going to do Facebook advertising. So you might be doing a lot more advertising and marketing than that, but those are the two channels we'll be looking at for this one. Where will people learn more about your brand? So this is most likely your website when you're talking about the digital space. Now this is the really important part. This is the part where you can quickly start coming up with those lead magnet ideas to help you provide value to that target audience that we're looking at. So we can see here that we're looking at new home buyers, age 28 to 35 in Brisbane, and got a negative building and pest result. So maybe you can have low barrier magnets, which don't require much effort from the user, and a medium barrier, and you can have high barrier. So we'll go into those. So again, remembering that these magnets are things that people will give us their information for in exchange for something of value. So an example of a low barrier magnet that we might come up with is, let's just say it is a 10 things you need to know about termite protection in Brisbane. So remember, we're using that kind of geographic location to make it more relevant to this particular audience. You can come up with all sorts of things about this. Maybe you come up with a checklist, like a interrogation checklist for when you're interviewing termite providers. So let's call it an interrogation checklist. You can come up with all sorts of these things, and this is where it's good to come and talk with a content consultant of the different types of low barrier and medium barrier things you can come up with. Medium barrier, a little bit more, so this means it requires a little bit more interaction. So maybe there's a general question on live chat. So we might not let them have access to live chat until they give us an email address or something like this. And if they ask a general question, again, we can put them into a nurture strategy if they don't convert during that chat. And high barrier, that might actually be a free on-site inspection. Just off the top of our head, there's a couple of different types of lead magnets we can use. But these ones are really, the low barrier ones are a good place to get started because you can do those and get them set up quite quickly. So now we move actually into marketing automation. So how do we actually capture their information from our lead magnets? So most of these are web forms, right? So web form, we use a web form to capture their information. For medium barrier, we've got live chat. And for high barrier, we might have the actual termite man who passes that information back to the business if they don't sign up. So there you go. That's how we kind of capture. Sorry, I know it's jumping a little bit. It's just a bit all over the place, but I think we're back now. Cool. So how will you deliver the offer? What info does someone need in order to buy? So remembering this is targeted at that 50% of people who aren't yet ready to make a decision. So we need to get into that lead nurture, that automatic follow-up strategy. So let's say they download the 10 things you need to know about termite protection in Brisbane. We know from their, I'm just going to scroll down here. We know from our profiles down here that cost is an objection that they have. So maybe the next thing we follow up with is how our interest fee payment plans work. Okay, so maybe we just handle that objection with that email. Just let them know that we've got these interest-free payment plans and how they work, and maybe we can talk about why any termite person you go to should have something like this, just to create that little bit of doubt in their mind. So let's go back down. We look at this. We go, okay, will it actually protect me? So maybe the next email is, so the most common product that termite people use after my research is obviously Termidor. So maybe this is an email on the effectiveness of Termidor over cheap, rip-off brands. Okay, so again, another piece of valuable content for these people who aren't ready. And the other thing is it puts doubt in their mind as to maybe some of the other providers are using these cheap rip-off brands. So again, it helps them lean a little bit further, closer to your brand. Then we've got quality providers. So then maybe the next email can be on what to look for in a quality termite provider. So you can keep doing this, and again, you might the next email might be a cost calculator or something like that. But just coming up with those different touch points over time, not over 1 week, over a long period of time, to continually be top of mind for those customers, potential customers. Now, as we mentioned, not everyone is going to be ready straight away for this. So some of those people are going to drop into your long-term lead nurture strategy, and that might just be a 6-month newsletter. Because let's be honest, no one wants to receive a monthly newsletter necessarily from a termite provider. It's really a one-time thing that you need, and then an annual checkup. So you don't need to bombard people too much, but maybe a 6-month newsletter that they get. So one important thing to mention is these emails here, because these people are still kind of in that consideration phase, these initial kind of follow-up strategy, you can still put offers in these emails. So don't be afraid to put an offer down the bottom. These offers of first year free, free ant control, all these kind of offers. You can put these in the emails. So if they read your email and then get value from the content, they still have a chance to turn into a customer at every email that comes through. Okay, so let's say they become a customer. What's the experience after someone buys? So maybe we do just an annual email, that has like an update on the potency of their protection. So just say after 1 year, exactly 1 year from application, you might get an email saying, hey, your Termidor is still at 100% strength. You are still protected. but still feel free to book in your annual checkup or something like this. So and maybe that after 5 years, I think Thermidor actually gets a bit weaker, so that's when they might start thinking about getting protection again. So again, that's kind of an example of how you can continually deliver once they become a customer as well. So as I mentioned, this spreadsheet, we're going to send it through to you guys so you can have a go yourself. And I'm going to open it up to questions. Lou's going to come back and jump on the mic, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions.
Excellent. So we've got a question come in from Brendan. Thanks, Brendan. And I'll just quickly click over there, onto there. How long would you expect to get a lead from the attract stage across to sell stage, Paul? He's got one day, week, or month. Okay,
it's a really good question, and there's a couple of answers. One is every lead is going to be a little bit different. So this is where continually optimizing your marketing automation strategy is really important. So when we look at getting them to the sell stage, and I might have slightly answered this question towards the end of the presentation after you put the chat in that you can put the opportunity to sell within any stage of your automatic follow-up process, because at any stage in that follow-up process, they might be ready to make a decision. So it's important not just to send content that's valuable without still asking for the sale. You just don't force the sale. The valuable content comes first. So for example, here's the latest hot zones in Brisbane that you need to be aware of. And in the footer of the email, you can just say, PS, if you need someone to come out and check, just respond to this email and we'll get in touch. So really, as soon as they download the gated content piece, you start selling. You're not forcing the sale down their throat at that point. It's more of a passive sale.
Excellent. Is there any other questions? Jump onto the chat on the right-hand side and drop in any questions before we disappear. We've been online for 47 minutes, so I think that it's been an amazing webinar, Paul. If there's no other questions, I'd like to say thank you very much, mate, because I learned a lot just sitting there listening in and watching what you were doing, and it's obviously a very topical area, and you've got a lot of experience now for Reload in that area. So look, if there's anybody wants any questions answered, or they can contact Paul through Reload and through the channels that we'll send in about an hour's time. So look, if there's no more questions, just finally, what we're going to do is pop up a quick offer. We recommend checking this toolkit out if you're new and you haven't seen this toolkit. There's about 3. There's HubSpot, Infusionsoft, and Marketo in this, isn't there?
Yes.
Which is basically on the right-hand side, there'll be an offer just popped up. Download this toolkit that actually Paul was instrumental in putting together. It really is the most comprehensive in the market for the digital marketing toolkit and tools and platforms that are out there. So download this. And you'll get a lot of value from that. So
it's essentially a brain dump of some of the tools that I've used and the Reload team have used over the last couple of years. We have no qualms in sharing those because it's how you use them basically. So and thank you everyone for coming along.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Millie and Lloyd, for your kind words, and thanks to everybody else who's filled out the chat. So thanks, Paul, and thanks for everybody, and have a good morning.
Cheers.